Hello everyone, my name is Scott and welcome to this Scratch tutorial. Today we're going to be having a look at how we can create some music beats by using Scratch, a webcam, and some colored blocks of paper. Otherwise, if you don't have any colored paper, you can use colored Lego bricks as the notes instead. That way you can build something and play a song at the same time. So let's have a look at the final project. So I've got some colored pieces of paper that I'm going to put down on this mat here. It's important for this project that you have a well lit area so that the colored pieces of paper will show up correctly. So I'm going to drag out a note here. There we go. So you can see a black bar that is moving from left to right. And that bar, as it passes over the colored piece of paper, will play a note. And so different colored pieces of paper will play different notes. There we go. Cool, so we have a really simple beat. Let's put another purple in. There we go. Cool, let's make it a bit quicker. We can also change the instrument that the notes play. Alright, so let's just get all of them. Alright, so if you want to have a go at playing around with that yourself, you can have a look in the description. Otherwise, stick around and I'm going to show you how you can make your own. Alright, so we're on the creation page and we should see that we have our Scratch cat in the middle. I'm just going to delete the Scratch cat. There we go. And the first thing that we need to do is we need to enable our webcam. So we're going to go ahead and add in the video sensing and music extensions. So we can do that by clicking down on the bottom left and choosing the video sensing option. And we're also going to choose the music option. So you can see here that I have my camera out, it's on, and it's showing the screen. I have the stage selected, and we're going to add some code. So as we go through the video, you can see what I do, pause the video and then implement it yourself and then continue on. So if I'm going a bit quick, just pause the video. So I'm going to go to events and put out a start block. And then we're going to go down to our video sensing and say turn video on and set transparency to 0. So transparency means that this screen here is a little bit white, so it's a bit faded. So setting the transparency to 0 is going to set it so that we can see the full screen. And that way we'll see the full colors of our pieces of paper. And so we're going to go ahead and create our first sprite. So if I drag out some colored blocks here, so the sequence of blocks is going to be the sequence of our music. And the music is going to play from the left across to the right. So we need to have an object that moves from left to right and moves over each colored piece of card. It's going to play a different note. So I'm going to go ahead and go to Paint and choose the Square tool. And I'm going to draw out a very thin rectangle just in the middle. So a thin rectangle from top to bottom in the middle here. I'm going to make it a bit thinner. There we go. And I can move this to be in the center. And I'm going to change the color of this to just be black. So we can see that I have a black skinny rectangle that's on my screen. I'm going to move and position this to the far left. This is going to be our starting point. So it's going to move from this far left, which the coordinate, which is the X value, so horizontal, is minus about 240. And it's going to move across the screen to the far right. And when it's on the far right, its coordinates are about positive 240. So it goes from negative 240 to positive 240. That's all the way across the screen. So I'm going to go back to our code section and start off with a new block. So we've got our start block. I'm going to go down to Control and add in a forever loop. So this is going to repeat over and over again. And I'm going to put in a go to position. So I'm going to say go to position minus 240. So remember 240 is this far left. And I'm going to put the Y value on 0. So that means it's in the middle. So if I click play, it's going to repeatedly move my rectangle to this far left position. And then from there, we're going to grab our glide button. So it's going to say glide. So we're going to glide for 1 second from where we are, which is minus 240, this block here. And then we're going to drag to positive 240, which is on the other side of the screen. And we can see that as soon as I do that, it is now updating my rectangle. So I'm moving from left to right at a speed of 1 second. If we want it to be slower, we put a higher number. So there's 5 seconds. If we want it to be quicker, we'll put a lower number. So 0.1, once this one finishes, we'll update. And now we're going super quick. So for this project, I'm going to leave it on about 2. All right, so we've got our block moving from left to right. What I'm also going to do is go to looks and set and put this up the top. So set ghost to 75. And what this is going to do is just make our rectangle a little bit transparent so we can see the notes underneath. So set ghost to 75. All right, so our next step is that when it goes over each of these colored pieces of paper, we need to trigger a note. And so this is working by detecting the color of the paper. So you need to make sure that you do this in a well-lit area so that colors show up correctly and that they don't change. So if your lighting changes, the color of your paper may change and it may not trigger the note. So we're going to start off with doing our first block. So we're going to do this green block here. So I'm going to go to events and drag out a new start block. We're also going to grab a repeat and if block. And this if block is going to go inside this repeat block. So it's going to be checking over and over again constantly. And I'm going to go to my sensing button. So the light blue one. So we're going to go to sensing and touching color. So if this black rectangle is going to be touching one of these colors, we need to do something. And so I'm going to go to my music and say play note. So if touching color, then we play a note. So if I choose play, at the moment it's checking for the color, but it's currently not set to really play on anything, so it won't play consistently. What we need to do is set this color and using the color picker tool to be the same color as the piece of paper. And we'll choose play. There we go. There's 1 and 2. All right. And so it's just going to be keep triggering. So I'm going to move these off and put in another green one. And so now we have 2 notes of the same playing. All right. So now we're going to have a look at a different color. So I'm going to do a red this time. Click play. If your colors are not working correctly, so this one here is not playing, we may need to update our color for this one. There we go. One of the other issues that we may have is, say for example, I put in this long yellow one, and we'll update our color again. You can see that it's triggering multiple times on the one note since it's quite long. And this is more apparent if we go to our sounds and play a pop sound. So this is going to play quite loud repeatedly. Oh, there we go. So you see this is triggering a whole bunch of times as it goes across the note. One of the things that we can do to stop this is go to Control and say wait until not touching this color. So I just right clicked and duplicated the same color. So this means that it will check to see when it's touching the color. So when it first hits the color, it will play a pop sound, and then it's going to wait until it's no longer touching the color. So that should be when this rectangle moves off the block, and then it'll start checking again. So it means that we should only hear the note play once, or the sound play once. There we go, so 1. So it's only playing 1 at a time. We can still put in different colors and have multiple pops, like this. Oh, it's getting the one at the back here. There we go. And that's because this little gap in here means that it's no longer touching, so it's checking again, and then suddenly it's touching again. If we have these too close, like this, it's only going to play once. So we need to make sure we have the minimum gap is the size of our little black rectangle. If this is still too close with a gap, it's only going to still trigger once because this black bar is touching either one of these. Cool, so we've got our colored note. Let's put our note back in, and we're going to take our sound off. And so now what we can do for the rest of our notes is I'm just going to duplicate that whole block, place a red block in, and I'm going to change the color to match the new block, and click play again. So now we have the piano playing twice for both blocks. And we can change the note for the second one. There we go. If you find that the notes are not triggering consistently, it may be that these two notes have a slightly different color, red, and so it's only firing for one of these. What we can do to fix that is drag out an OR block and just say if we're touching color red or another red. So this means that we can set this color to the first block and this color to the next block. So if we look at these two, they may be slightly different reds. So this one's at color 0, this one's color 1. There's no option to just detect a range of reds. It has to be the exact color. So now this will play more consistently. Cool. And then let's have a go with adding in a blue block. And we're going to just duplicate our red one and choose the blue option. And let's make this a different note again. All right, and we can try with a purple block. Do the same thing again, just duplicate that one, choose purple, and not touching purple. And let's put this to a really high note. All right, cool. So we've got our basic notes set up. You can substitute these notes for sounds instead. So say, for example, we want to add in a, let's see, maybe we just want to add in a bass sound. So we could say play sound bass for just the purple one. Cool. And what else we can do is, since these are playing notes, under our music section, we can say set instrument to. So I'm going to drag this out to my starting block here. So set instrument to, it's currently on piano, but we can change this to something else. So maybe we want to do a drum. And now we have a different instrument. Maybe instead we want to try a choir. Add another note in. And there we go. That's how you can use Scratch with the video sensing, some colored pieces of paper to create some musical beats. So give it a go. Let us know how you go. Share your project. Thanks for watching. See you next time.